My name is Hannah Kackner, and I am an active transportation planner with Fairfax County Department of Transportation. And today I will be presenting on FCDOT's proposed road diet and bike lane project on Prosperity Avenue in the Providence District. This presentation was originally given to the public on January 27th, 2025, and I will be presenting that same information to you today. So this project was funded through the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments Transit Within Reach program, which provides technical assistance funding for bicycle and pedestrian projects that improve connections to high-capacity transit stations. That program funded the design of this project, so everything that I'm presenting to you tonight has been funded through this program. Here is an overview of the project location. So again, one of the biggest goals of this project is to improve those bicycle and pedestrian connections to and from the Dunn-Loring Metro Station. The improvements that we are proposing would span along Prosperity Avenue from Hilltop Road to Gallows Road. And as you can see in the map, we have a number of different streets with bike lanes on them, which are marked in green, including part of Prosperity Avenue. But those do drop off right before the segment of that roadway closest to the metro station, which is definitely unfortunate because that is where we see the most activity and density in this area. We also have some off-street facilities in the area, including the shared use path on Gallows Road, the 66 Parallel Trail, and farther to the north, the W&OD Trail does connect to Gallows Road. So there are a lot of great connections in and around Prosperity Avenue here, but Prosperity is definitely a missing piece in our bicycle network for this area that we're definitely excited about filling in. So in terms of what Prosperity Avenue looks like today, as I mentioned, there are buffered bike lanes that extend from Hilltop Road to Door Avenue that we're implementing through a road diet in 2020. However, again, those bike lanes end at Door Avenue, and the segment near the metro retained those 4 lanes. So what we have near the metro is just a lot of space for vehicles, and all of that width in the roadway really encourages speeding among drivers. And as you can see in the photo here, there's definitely a lack of buffer space between the sidewalk and that pretty high-speed roadway there, which can make it feel unsafe and generally uncomfortable to walk along with the traffic whizzing by pretty close to the sidewalk. So with all the development here, there's a lot of demand for pedestrians crossing the street, but in the road's current configuration, it's pretty dangerous to do so. We also feel that bicycle demand is suppressed near the metro due to the lack of appropriate bicycle infrastructure up there. Our consultant on this project did a crash analysis and found that there were 4 reported pedestrian crashes since 2019. On this segment of Prosperity Avenue. And based on the locations, it does look like almost all of them occurred within existing crosswalks. There have also been a number of vehicle crashes on this roadway since 2019. And in terms of safety issues, our department regularly receives requests for pedestrian safety improvements from people who live and work along this part of Prosperity Avenue. And most of those requests are related to excessive vehicle speeds, and failure on the part of drivers to yield to pedestrians and crosswalks, especially those crosswalks near the metro entrances. As I mentioned, we're proposing a road diet along this portion of Prosperity Avenue. And the term road diet just means that we are restriping the roadway in a way that reallocates the number of travel lanes to improve the safety for all roadway users. And this typically involves converting travel lanes into bicycle lanes and or center turn lanes, as you see in that image on the screen. And through this project, we're proposing a road diet along the 4-lane segment of Prosperity Avenue near the Dunn-Loring Metro Station. We're proposing removing 1 travel lane in each direction and then adding buffered bike lanes on either side of the road to create continuous buffered bike lanes from Hilltop Road to Gallows Road. And we're proposing to add protective barriers along this entire segment as well. And this would create a bicycle connection to 4 other streets in the vicinity with bike lanes, as well as the 66 parallel trail. And to accommodate those bike lanes, we are also proposing to remove a westbound right turn lane into Avenir Place and an eastbound right turn lane onto southbound Gallows Road. In terms of outcomes for people who drive along this part of Prosperity Avenue, our consultant did a traffic study and measured the impacts on vehicle delay at the different intersections along this roadway segment and did find a 1.5-second increase in the AM and PM peak hours at the Merrily Drive intersection, and then a 7-second increase at the Gallows Road intersection during both those AM and PM peak hours. These delays are well within the county comprehensive plan's permitted levels of delay for intersections and are also very unlikely to be especially noticeable by drivers. There are some benefits for drivers that are associated with road diets. For one, it's easier and safer for drivers turning onto the road from side streets just because there are fewer lanes to cross. And also the traffic calming effects that come as a result of having fewer lanes just provides more consistent traffic flow and less of that accordion style slow and go traffic that you sometimes see. And drivers will also see less of just kind of racing between the drivers and the two travel lanes. For people who bike along Prosperity Avenue or would like to bike along Prosperity Avenue, but don't feel comfortable doing so in its current configuration, they're also going to see some big improvements. So right now, Prosperity Avenue really only appeals to the strong and fearless cyclists who feel confident riding with high-speed vehicular traffic, but the proposed design will attract a wider range of riders of different ages and abilities. And we are proposing adding concrete blocks and flexible delineator posts to the bike lane buffer, similar to this example you see in Arlington County. People who walk in this area would also see some very noticeable improvements with the proposed design. So by adding the buffer bike lanes, we would significantly decrease the number of conflict areas between pedestrians crossing and vehicles in the travel lanes. So right now, someone crossing has to wait for a gap in traffic and all 4 lanes of traffic. But with the proposed design, that person would really only need to cross 2 vehicle travel lanes and would have additional buffer space to wait for gaps in traffic. And we're also proposing banning right turns on red at the signalized intersections to reduce conflicts between pedestrians and vehicles turning right. We're also proposing adding 2 concrete refuge islands at 2 of the existing mid-block crosswalks closer to Hilltop Road to the south. And the proposed design features a central refuge island and 2 smaller refuge islands in each bike lane buffer, similar to the one in this example from DC. And I would also like to note some potential impacts on the bus stops on this corridor. So Route 462 of the Fairfax Connector has 4 stops along this segment of Prosperity Avenue, and we're proposing keeping those 4 bus stops in their current locations, but upgrading them to meet the current ADA standards. There are also 2 private shuttle services with stops along Prosperity Avenue closer to the metro. There's a Defense Health headquarters shuttle and also an Innova Fairfax shuttle that do currently block one of the travel lanes where they stop over by Gallows Road. So we are looking at coordinating with WMATA to relocate those shuttle stops closer to the Dunlorry Metro along with this project, which should be more convenient for their riders anyways. And for those 4 connector stops, we're looking into adding a bus pad similar to the one we currently have on our cycle track on Virginia Center Boulevard in Vienna. Something else that we are watching closely is the proposed redevelopment of 2750 Prosperity Avenue. So a developer recently submitted a proposal to convert those older buildings in the area in red into 1,500 to about 1,800 residential units. And our comprehensive plan does allow for 1,900 units in this area. In their application, the developer proposed removing the buffers from existing bike lanes and also adding street parking, but we plan to work with the developer to keep those bike lane buffers there. The developer did include a traffic impact study, which we did a quick review of. And in that study, it was stated that future development would not adversely impact the future road network beyond the currently permitted intensities in the comprehensive plan. But in the coming months, we will be thoroughly reviewing that traffic impact study for accuracy. And as this moves along, we will just continue to coordinate with the developer to mitigate any impacts to this project and construct the proposed bike lanes. In terms of next steps, VDOT has reviewed the plans and provided us with feedback, but some elements may change as a result of any feedback we receive. Following our public meeting, we will collect, review, and listen to any feedback from the public. And if this project is approved, FCDOT would be responsible for completing the design and identifying funding for construction. Our project webpage is listed here, so please take note of that. And on that page, you will find a link to our public input survey through which you can provide feedback until February 14th. And again, thank you for listening to this presentation. And that is all I have. Thank you again.